It started with a social media post that set the internet on fire. Young job eyes, scarlet and voice wavering, that Rashida Frost had spent a secret night with him. She was now carrying his child. Fans are enraged, timelines burst, and whispers of betrayal spread like wildfire. But now, in a move nobody saw coming, Kirk Frost has issued an ultimatum. A test asked on live camera to establish once and for all who the father truly is. Rumors arose that Jock's disclosure was not an act of love, but a planned attempt to destroy Rashida's reputation and generate a gap between her and Kirk insiders. Suspect Jock staged the entire disclosure to destroy their marriage, intended to take the paternity crown and ride the wave of fury emotions ran high as Kirk, torn between wrath and despair, vowed to clear his name and safeguard his family's honor. The family was left divided, acquaintances took sides, and the actors of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta watched in stunned silence as the scandal deepened. Now the world waits with bated breath. Will the Deno results exonerate Frost or uncover a secret that might break everything? Stay tuned as we dig deep into every combustible element of this paternity fight, where allegiance lays and a single lab result could alter lives forever. It was a tranquil afternoon at the Frost family when Kirk Frost first saw the video. Young Job, seated in a dimly lit studio, voice cracking, gazed directly, facing the camera as he dropped the bombshell. Rashida Frost had covertly spent a night with him, and now she was pregnant. Kirk's thumb shook over his phone. This wasn't a bluff. The text messages from pals confirmed it. Jock had gone live, racking up millions of views, and the world was watching. Emotions surged hard as Kurt's heart pounded. Fury and despair collided in his chest. He's staring at the screen, the words ringing in his thoughts. She's carrying my baby. The family was left divided before he even spoke. Inside the kitchen, Rashida waited. At the counter, her phone clenched tight. She'd heard the whispers initially shouted by producers who knocked on her door. She tried to deny it, but Jock's footage left no room for doubt. Tears spilled as she faced Kirk, who stood in the doorway, jaw tight, the quiet stretched, unbreathable. Then Kirk said, voice low and steady, "We're doing a Duna test." Rashida's eyes widened. "Kirk, please," she began, but he held up a hand. "No more guessing. We find out the truth for our family." The room felt like a storm trap, each heartbeat louder than the last. That evening, Kirk called an emergency meeting. At the studio, producers, cast members, and crew assembled in the green room, whispers ricocheting off the walls. Carly Red looked around, trying to gauge reactions. "Does anyone know what's happening on?" she said softly. Paddock shook his head, looking through Jock's live replay on his phone. Bambi placed her palm to her lips, stifling a gasp. When Kirk entered the room, fell silent. His presence was overwhelming hurt. He took a seat at the top of the table. Papers spread before him, a notarized paternity order, contact facts for dentist experts, a timeline for live exposees. "We're going forward with this," he said. "I want samples taken tomorrow morning, lab findings by week's end, and I want the entire surgery filmed." The producers exchanged uncomfortable glances. One cleared his throat. "Kirk, live filming is risky, legal difficulties, privacy worries." Kurt cut him off. "I don't care. If Jock wants to play games with my wife's reputation and our marriage, he'll face the light." Jock, who had been leaning against the doorway, arms folded, smirk fading, went ahead. "You actually going to disgrace her like that?" he inquired. His tone was sarcastic, yet expressed an undercurrent of horror. Kirk stood, eyes blazing. "I'm protecting my family. If you lied, if you manipulated her in public or private, we'll know." Jock's smirk wavered. "You think the meal test demonstrates anything? It's all about timing and paperwork." Kirk shook his head. "We'll see." The next morning, the mood was electrifying. Word had spread. Then a showdown was on the parking lot, packed with luxury autos and camera vans. Fans craned their necks, hoping for a look. Kirk and Rashida arrived together softly, hands connected, yet strained. Job pulled up minutes later, Music blasting, eyes alert. Security made. A human wall around the entrance. Inside, workers hustled to set up lab equipment tables packed with swabs, and biohazard bags. Everything certified for paternity testing. A mobile lab personnel clothed in scrubs stood poised beneath fluorescent lights, cameras filming from numerous angles. Carly read, and Bambi remained nearby, whispering, "Approach. We need to control the tail." Carly noted, "Highlight Dad's right to grasp the value of truth." Bambi nodded and stressed Rashida's courage for agreeing. To this, Rashida makeup disappeared from tears, listened silently. She traced her wedding band, her pulse racing. Chaotic positioned himself beside the monitors, ready to cue the live feed. The energy was a mix of dread and anticipation. The technician called for samples. Kirk went first, cheek swab turn, head 15 seconds. He complied, eyes fixed on the camera, unwavering. Jock followed, smirk, replaced by concentration. Rashiva's turn was last. She closed her eyes, exhaled, and submitted her swab. Lab assistants sealed the tubes, lobbing each sample with barcode labels. The leads called out chain of custody confirmations. Fans outside cheered or jeered through the windows. One sign read, "Truth or nothing." Another, "Rashida deserves dignity." With samples collected, the staff placed the specimens into a locked refrigerator. Heading for a certified nail lab, production manager declared, "Results will be back in 48 hours. Exact match or exclusion phones." Flared up as producers sent messages to every fan account and gossip blog. Within minutes, drama was trending with thousands of comments speculating on outcomes. Back in the green room, the cast regrouped. Kirk sat alone, elbows on knees, head in. Hands, Rashida approached, crouching by him. "I'm sorry you have to do this," she mumbled. Kirk looked up, eyes red. "I'm sorry. You're in the midst." He held her hand. "We'll face it together." Carly read, clapped her hands. "All right, people, let's get back to work. We'll prep the announcement sequence behind them." Jock lingered, watching. Bambi gave him a piercing gaze. Jock narrowed his eyes, then slipped aside. Phone pressed to his ear. "Get every angle, every leap. We might need backup proof." The waiting game began. Over the next day, tension simmered. Cameras filmed behind. The scene sees Rashida in a corner, head in hands. Kirk pacing the hallway, muttering calculations. Jock in a recording studio recording a reaction video to the forthcoming announcement. Producers edited teaser film on social media. Then a results drop tomorrow at 12 out. Who's the Father sections broadcast nonstop on rumor sites. That night, Rasha lay awake in the married bedroom. Kurt laid near her. Moonlight spilled through curtains. She's staring at the ceiling. Thoughts running through every minute of the past months. Jock's confession, the leaked voice. Notes the hospital rumor the initial nail revealed that had cleared Kirk. She wondered what the next consequence would come. Kirk, stirred, half waking, "You okay?" he asked. She turned to him, tears slipping. "I'm afraid." He hugged her close. "Me too. But whatever happens, we'll manage it." Just before dawn, Kirk slipped out to check his phone. A single message flashed. Lab processing delayed contamination, found knee rewab. His heart dropped. Contamination. Now, procedural. Errors threatened to ruin the final moment. He raced the corridors seeking the head lab tech. "What contamination?" he commanded. The technician looked up, anxious. One sample didn't fulfill collecting standards. Could be from external dinner. Kirk's fist hit the table. "It has to be fantastic." "Redo it now," technicians hurried. In the early morning hours, a second round of samples takes conducted in harsher settings, supervised, collecting no outside interaction while cameras videotaped every step, to avoid future problems. The air was dense with speed. By daylight, vials were sealed again. Director screamed, "We've got it! Next stop, the lab. No more delays." Phones buzzed 48 hours since the original reveal as the clock neared its closing minutes. The players gathered in the studio's main stage area, preparing for the live nail reveal. A semicircular workstation faced an audience of producers, workers, and a handful of loyal fans invited for exclusive taping. A large screen loomed overhead, ready to display results. Kirk and Jock stood on opposite ends, Rashida between them, a tenuous ceasefire joining them. Microphones hovered overhead. Cameras. Strange. Carly Red stepped forward to the platform. "Thank you all for being here," she continued, voice calm yet authoritative. "After days of speculation, preparation, and emotional suffering, we are ready to reveal the end results that would answer the issue on everyone's mind." She waited, letting the anticipation grow. Jock shifted in his seat, fingers extending as he clutched the desk. Kirk's gaze narrowed, jaw set. Rashida's eyes fluttered, tears spilling. The lab technician walked ahead with a wrapped envelope. Silence descended like a cloud. He cleared his throat and shattered the seal. The mite picked up his soft voice. "The Duna test confirms." And in that heartbeat before the announcement, the room held its breath. The world outside paused on screens, and the destiny of relationships, reputations, and a tiny life hanging in the balance. The net test suggests that Kirk Frost is the biological father. A deafening calm swept over the studio, followed by an eruption of gasps and murmurs. Jock lurched back, eyes wide and unblinking, as if the words had physically struck him. Kirk sank into his chair, head bent back. Breath coming in curtains of relief. Rashida collapsed against Kirk's shoulder, tears spilling freely as relief and humiliation waged battle on her heart. Fans are startled. Timeliness flooded with the verdict, and social media broke in jubilation and scorn. Emotions went wild as Kirk clasped Rashida's hand, while Jock's sneer faded beneath the weight of defeat. Jock's voice quivered as he spat accusations. "This test was rigged. You paid them off." He rose unsteadily, slamming his palms on the table. The team froze. Kirk straightened, voice firm yet fierce. "These data are proven. No amount of denial will change the truth." Rashida's tears stopped as she met Jock's stare, wrath flaring in her eyes. "You lied about me for clout," she hissed. Jock smeared. "I told the world what you tried to hide." The family was left divided, even as the test reconnected them in indisputable fact. Producers hissed instructions to cut to commercial, desperate to give everyone a minute to regroup. Behind closed doors, Kirk paced the hallway, phone shoved to his ear. "We need confirmation from a second lab," he demanded. The lab tech's voice came through the line. "We can't authorize another test without a court order." Kirk's cheeks blanched. He halted the conversation and leaned against the wall. Jaw tightened. Uncertainty crept back in. What if the network delayed or refused? What if Jock found a loophole to dispute the verdict? Rashida approached, placing a hand on his arm. "We proved it," she whispered. Kurt closed his eyes, shivering. "For now," he said, voice hollow. Meanwhile, Jock retired to his dressing room, locking the door. He slipped into a chair, head in his hands. The empty room seemed like a jail. His manager, pacing near, remarked, "Your sponsors are pulling out. The controversy cratered your endorsements." Jock slammed a fist on a table, scattering papers. "I can't lose this," he growled. "I'll fight again." The manager sighed. "The public turned on you. It's going to take more than an apology to repair this." Jock rose immediately, determination tightening. His spewers. "Then I'll offer another twist," he growled, "and they'll have to listen." Outside the studio, fans and media flocked. A mob had gathered, phones raised, singing Kirk's name or jeering Job. One fan hoisted the flag, "Bina don't deception." Another screamed, "Plout chaser revealed." Timelines were filled with memes and reaction clips. Talk show hosts teed up pieces questioning Jock's intentions and hailing Rashida's courage. The narrative shifted from scandal to vindication. The family was left fractured, but the truth had realigned loyalties in Kirk and Rashida's favor, at least publicly. Carly, red and chaotic, collected meeting producers in a short corridor. "We ride this wave," Parley said, eyes alight with plan. "Release the complete. Reveal footage, then prompt confessionals." Chaotic agreed. Fans need honest passion. Get Kirk and Rashida to talk from the heart. Producers agree. Phones already drafting social copy. Bambi passing by overheard and halted. She viewed Jock's closed door and shook her head, grief flitting in her eyes. Inside the green room, Rashida wiped her face with the tissue. Her gleaming lingered anxiously. "You were amazing," one muttered. Rashida's voice trembled as she stated, "I never wanted this fight only." Peace. Kirk entered and enveloped her in a loving embrace. She lifted her head up, seeking reassurance. "We won't let this break us," he swore. Her tears spilled again, but this time relief flared behind them. "We'll heal," she murmured, voice adamant. The live broadcast restarted and Kirk stepped to the mic. "I asked for the truth and I got it." He began, voice steady. Rasha joined him upon the podium, her hand dazzling with his. Together, they addressed the crowd, thanking supporters and denouncing Jock's slander campaign. Jock, dragged onto the stage by producers, issued a weak apology. "Let the drama take control. I'm apologetic for what I did." His apologies ring hollow to many viewers who booed. Shut off the stream. The family was left divided when Jock slunk off, his credibility in ruins. Later that evening, Kirk and Rashida returned home under a veil of security. They wandered the quiet halls side in hand, the thrill of magnificent spectacle faded by fatigue. Upstairs, their toddlers napped, ignorant of the storm that had raged around their parents. Kurt paused at the bedroom door, staring at Rashida. "We did it," he murmured. She offered a sorrowful smile. "Yes, but at what cost?" He nodded, understanding her disguised query. The public win hadn't eradicated the private scars. They entered the room, closing the door softly behind them. Jock's world, by contrast, was in turmoil. Alone in his apartment, he scrolled through scathing articles and insulting jokes. Each one felt like a bullet. His phone buzzed with messages, some urging revenge, others advising him to step back. He flipped it off and sank onto the sofa, the weight of defeat crushing. Outside his window, the city lights blurred. As tears stung his eyes, he said to the lonely chamber, "How do I come back from this?" The next morning, Kirk awoke early to press notifications. Kirk Frost and Rashida Frost's speech was trending. Then a test success labeled a landmark moment in reality TV history. An avalanche of congratulatory messages swamped his account. Tears of thankfulness pulled as he clasped Rashida on the couch. She sipped her coffee, exhaustion and optimism clashing in her gaze. "Maybe now we can find normal," she whispered gently. Kirk kissed her forehead. "We'll build a new normal together." Meanwhile, Jock's ex-girlfriend published another alleged text saying Jock bragged about orchestrating the whole thing months ago. The fresh revelation revived calls for his cancellation. Even some of Jock's staunchest followers stated they felt manipulated. The cycle of speculation threatens to spiral back. Nevertheless, for now, the emphasis had turned forcefully. Kirk and Rashida, though battered, stood together at its center. As the week went, producers prepared the next episode, a deep dive into the paternity fight, exclusive behind-the-scenes footage, and a peek at the unpleasant implications for Kirk. Rashida and Jock teasers promised new discoveries. Maybe Jock's last desperate move, maybe a glimpse into Rashida's path to forgiveness. Fans were hooked, eagerly awaiting the next revelation in the drama that had converted net evidence into a weapon of redemption and ruin. Part 2 of this story closed with their victory, but the road to health was just beyond the horizon, and the world watched, yearning for what transpired next. The studio lights lowered as the cameras powered down, but the echoes of the Na reveal lingered in the air like smoke from a battlefield. Kirk Frost and Rashida sat side by side on the set sofa, afterglow of vindication still warm but tiredness carved deep a row. Rashida's eyes, Kirk's phone rung continuously, Congratulatory texts, voicemails from lawyers complimenting the ironclad Proof Network officials planning press tours. But amid the plaudits were fresh murmurs. Would this win secure their image permanently? Or was it just another event in unending saga? Outside social media had burst in celebration. Our Team Frost flooded timelines with memes of Kirk flexing a "Did Not Lie" t-shirt as Rashida's followers posted sweet messages. You stood up for yourself. Respect is non-negotiable. Even talk show hosts who had attacked the original scandal now hailed their resilience. One morning show anchor remarked, "Kirk and Rashida transformed difficulties into oneness. This is the salvation story we all needed." Clips. When their simultaneous speech played constantly, emotions were strong as spectators rallied behind their honesty. But in the shadows, Jan Jock was thinking his next step. Isolated in a beautiful, magnificent kilometers from the Frost residence, he studied the explosion like a hawk. His phone lay before him. Screenshots of sponsors pulled out an apologetic text from former pals. He smashed his fist on the coffee table, sent a flurry of frantic texts. "Get me a shot at one more interview, I'll reveal something greater." His manager's weary reply flickered on the screen. "We're banned. Networks won't touch us." Jock's chest constricted. The thought that he'd overplayed his hand settled like cold. Yet desperation encourages ambition. If one plan failed, he'd develop another. He'd become the architect of his own resurrection, or die trying. Back in Atlanta, the Frost home awakened with surprising optimism. Raspberries of dawn light filtered from the kitchen window as Rashida prepared breakfast, Kirk by her side checking through fan mail. Their son toddled in, bright-eyed, oblivious to the maelstrom that had nearly open-ended their family. Todd reached for a pancake, and Kirk lifted him up. "You're my purpose," Kirk murmured, pressing a kiss. To Rashida's face, she nodded, a modest smile breaking through. "We did this for him," she said, glancing at Kirk's ring finger. The world outside still buzzed with gossip, but in that moment, tranquility felt achievable. The network detected ratings. Gold produced an entire week of specials. The Frost Files Beyond the Slap. Dinner drama. Decoded producers produced highlight clips. Jock's confession. Rashiva's pain. The fee. Dinner reveal. All spliced together with dramatic voiceovers, Kirk and Rashida were welcomed back for a sit-down interview that would air live. The network promised unfiltered access to their journey. The couple consented, viewing it as an opportunity to close the chapter. But producers, ever hungry for a twist, had one more card to play. They wanted Jock in the same room. When the day arrived, the studio buzzed with suspense. Jock walked onto the stage, first shoulders, stiff eyes wandering over the lights. He'd approached a separate seat, griming at the sea of cameras. Kirk and Rashida entered next, greeted by applause. They embraced briefly before seats for the moderator's questions. Jock's manager loomed just off camera. Whispers of "keep to," the script sounding frenzied. The moderator began with a soothing tone. "Kirk, Rashida, you galvanized the nation with your stories. How has the previous week changed?" You, Kirk, took Rashida's hand, smiled. "We found strength in each other. We'll never take trust for," offered Rashida, nodded, voice calm. "I learned that honesty, no matter how pain, is the only road ahead." Applause rippled across the room. Then Jock leaned forward, eyes flashing. "What about accountability?" he questioned. Voice serious, Rashida. "You lied to Kurt. You lied to everyone." Rashida's gaze sharpened. "I never lied about that night." She remarked, "I was too humiliated to speak up, but I never fooled him purposely." Jock scoffed. "Then why suppress the truth?" Kirk interrupted, voice calm, yet aggressive, "Because it was our business, not your spectacle." Jock's face twitched. The moderator intervened, steering focus to the aftermath. But Jock refused to relent, intensifying the stress. The live audience shifted uncomfortably. Cameras captured Rashida closed her eyes, then steeling herself. Kirk leaned toward Jock, eyes blazing. If you wanted a disagreement, you got one, but you can't redo the outcome. Jock gazed back. We'll see about it. Producers motioned to cut to a commercial break. The tension, slicing, pierced the broadcast like a sharpened razor. In the break behind the scenes, Rashida broke down in the makeup chair, Kirk en velour in his arms. "You're my hero," he said. Rashida shook exhaustion and thanksgiving combining. "Thank you for standing by me," she mumbled. Kirk kissed her temple. "We stand together no matter what." When the show returned, Jock attempted damage control, saying he just sought the truth for Todd's sake. Yet his comments seemed hollow. Fans at home texted friends. Jock looked, "Desperate Frosts are unshakable." The moderator proceeded on moving the couple into a part about restoring trust. Kirk revealed information of couples' treatment. Rashida spoke of therapy's relief. Jock sat in the corner, arms crossed, excluded from the healing circle. The program closed with a message from the moderator. Despite the turmoil, the Frost family emerges stronger. Respect, honesty, and love prevail. Kirk and Rashida joined hands, a moment of victory against adversity. Jock bowed a short nod, but his seat felt hollow. He lost his foothold in the narrative he wanted to establish. After the camera shut off, Jock retreated to his dressing room. He stared at his mirror, eyes empty, the weight of public rejection pressing him. His phone rang. A text from a competing influencer promising to assist restore his career for a charge. Jock's gaze flashed with agony and despair. He tapped a reply. "Tell me more." The following portion of his storyline was getting darker and more structured than before. Meanwhile, Kirk and Rashida walked through the studio's back low, flanked by security, and a small crew fans lined the boundaries, chanting out messages of support. One held a banner, "Frost Forever." Another shouted, "You're my motivation." Rashida waved tears in her eyes. Kirk raised a hand in thankfulness. The two climbed into their automobile, dozens of camera flashes trailing them like fireflies. That night at home, Rashima sat at her kitchen, table browsing through emotional texts, stories of people who stood up for themselves, youngsters driven to express their truth. A smile broke through her tiredness. Kirk sat across from her sipping tea. They didn't speak. No words were necessary. In the solitude of their kitchen, the scars of the last weeks felt less severe. Shared pain had pushed them closer. But as morning neared, Rashida received the frigid voicemail from an unknown number. "You feel you won. The reality is far from done." She shivered, her heart hammering. Kirk, groggy, joined her at her side. "What is it?" She played the message again. Kirk's face darkened. "What's that meant to signify?" Rashida's lip trembled. "I don't know." They shared a stare. Victory was delicious yet. Shadows lingered outside in another portion of the city. Jock triggered his next action. He was listed a freelance journalist reputed to specialize in outrageous lies. Documents were drafted. A bogus lab report. Hints of a second pregnancy rumor, Jock scribbled. Furiously, "I'll trash this on Monday." His manager peeked in. Worry lines slashed into, "Is this a good idea?" Jock's eyes dazzling. "It's the only concept I have." The managerial side, "Just be ready for the reaction." As the night proceeded, the Frost home lay still. Two hearts recovered from public strife. Two hearts tired but unbroken. Outside, the city surged with storylines remained to be told. Another episode in a drama motivated by lies, revenge, and the tireless pursuit of truth. And somewhere in that darkness, Jock prepared his next stroke, seeking to rescue a spotlight he nearly damaged. In the cosmos of love and hip-hop, the threshold between villain and victim is razor thin, and no one is ever immune from the next twist. The next morning, brightness felt harsh as Rashida and Kirk sat at opposing ends of their kitchen table, the voicemails frightened. Ing warning reverberating between them. Kirk peered at his untouched coffee mind. Hurrying, Rashida scrambled with her phone, reading alerts. Nothing yet. They hadn't slept. Finally. Kirk spoke voice. We can't ignore this. Rashida nodded, exhaustion and anxiousness flashing in her eyes. I know. But we battled so much already. Kirk reached across the table, covering her hand, and we'll fight again together. Hundreds of kilometers away. Young Jock met the freelance writer in a dismal cafe. He slid a flash, drive across the table, voice low with urgency. These are the files, he remarked. A second pregnancy report courtesy of a private clinic, completely unverified but juicy as hell. The journalist checked the drive, eyebrows raised. If this leaks, Frost shoots into overdrive, denying, but fans will bite. Jock leaned forward, eyes eager. Exactly. Then I can paint the headlines with Frost, denial collapses, and keep the scandal alive. The journalist nodded. Words fly swiftly. Video clips, screenshots, people. Don't check facts. Jock smiled grimly. Watch and learn. Back at the Frost residence, Kirk put a call to Janet Hale, their entertainment lawyer. He wandered the corridor. Janet, Jock's crafting something fresh. Fake papers, leaks. I need legal preemptive attack. Janet's calm voice crackled through the telephone. We'll issue a cease and desist to known bloggers and journalists. Any leaked medical report is a privacy breach. Kirk breathed relief, mixing with determination. Do it now. Janet verified. I'll file. Movements before noon. Later, Rashida decided to take a unique video message for fans. The shooting crew made up a basic scene in her own room. Rashida donned a pastel blouse, makeup minimum. Cameras rolled as she spoke directly into the lens. I want to thank everyone who stood by me. She began, voice steady. The Nima truth was a gift of clarity. However, rumors remain, and I refuse to let lies explain my tale. She lifted a photo of her and Kirk. My marriage is real, built on love and respect. Anyone who attempts to take that down will confront the truth, legal, medical, and personal. Kurt stared from behind the camera, pride easing his characteristics. Rashida stated, I begged for your patience as we addressed any new assumptions with fact, honesty, and truth. The crew filmed her final nod. The video would premiere at midday time to disrupt Jock's plot leak. True to form, Jock's tragic effort went online before Rashida's message broadcast. A questionable blog shared a hazy screenshot of a supposedly verified clinic paper suggesting Rashida had sought a second appointment. Father's name blank. Within minutes, rumor sites syndicated it. Fans gasped. Speculation sparked. Kirk saw the headline flash up on his phone. He slapped it on the table. Jocks. At it again. Rashida, standing nearby, bit her lip. It's not real. Kirk's eyes burned. They didn't verify. They just posted. He seized his laptop. We have Janet's letters ready. File injunctions. Now Rashida grabbed Kirk into a short hug before he headed for the law company. While Kirk conducted legal challenges, Rashida preparation for the talk show panel. The network booked Truth and Consequences, a round with two hosts, Jock and the Frost pair. The studio set gleamed beneath lights. Audience chairs filled. Jock swaggered in wearing a clean leather jacket, hairstyled. He nodded at Kirk with a smirk. Kirk returned the nod with measured kindness. Rashida delivered a charming grin, terror and resolution blazing in her eyes. When cameras cued live, the principal host began. Today, we examine the emerging rumors of the second consultation, the repercussions, and the future of the Frost marriage. Jock leaned forward first. If what I witnessed is real, Rashid is hiding things again. The audience groaned. Kirk crossed his arms, spoke hard. Those screenshots are false, doctored, not only because they invade private medical confidentiality. Jock shrugged. We'll see what the lab says. Maybe it's true, the co-host probed Rashida. How do you reply to these fresh allegations? Rashida inhaled with the same technique. Transparency. I've asked my medical team to present certified records to the court, not hazy photographs from strangers. She met Jock's gaze. If you have something real, bring it to the right authorities. Jock bristled, but became silent. The host pressed Jock on his ambitions. Jock declared he sought justice. Kirk challenged. Him. You sought attention. Jock snapped. I wanted the truth for Todd. The notion of their child hung heavy. Rashida's eyes filled. Kirk dissociated Jock's aggression from Rashida's well-being. Don't use our son as a marketing tool. Jock's face shuddered. The panel changed subjects to regaining trust. Rashida spoke of her treatment sessions. Kirk described couples' retreats, and Jock's seat remained empty of genuine anguish. Post-show, Jock stalked the lawn room doorway, checking off new approaches. In his thoughts, leaps, voicemails, retouched photos, whatever, to keep the scandal alive. But the network covertly shelled more portions, with Jock ratings have cratered. Jock's phone rang. His manager voice exhausted. They're withdrawing you from the season. Jock slapped the receiver down. Meanwhile, Kirk and Rashida went home under twilight skies, windows down. The vehicle radio played a nice tune about forgiveness. Rashida put her head against Kirk's shoulder. I don't know how to thank you, she muttered. Kirk kissed her temple. We're stronger now. We'll get through whatever's next. She grinned via tears. That night, Jock sat alone in his flat, rereading old voicemails, one from weeks ago, where Rashida sobbed into his ear. Destroyed, seeking comfort, Jock's fingers hovered near his phone. Remorse flashed. He hit send on a text. I'm sorry. He glanced at the screen, wondering if an apologies might fix his self-made ruin. The next morning, Kirk received a call from the clinic defending Rashida's privacy and assured there was no record of any second visit. He played the taped statement for Rashida. Relief flooded her. Kirk scooped her into an embrace. They can't weaponize lies anymore. Rashida chuckled quietly. Tiredness and happiness intermingled. As the sun rose over Atlanta, Kirk and Rashida held a modest gathering at home. Close friends from the show, creators and allies, they toasted to truth and family. Carly Red raised her glass to the Frost legacy, tested and unbroken. Cheers filled the room. Jock's shadow had loomed big, but tonight, his absence looked like emancipation. Yet in the distant, Jock's following chapter was unfolding. His apology, repeating unanswered, his phone, dark. The Frost couple united beneath studio lights and private vows, prepare for whatever storm could come. They proven that supper tests and lawsuits could silence lies, but only trust and honesty could heal wounds. As laughter and music spilled into the darkness, one certainty remained in love and hip-hop's deadly game of truth and deception. The Frost family had found their impenetrable bond, and nothing would ever break them again. You've witnessed every aspect of this epic confrontation. Jock's smear campaign, Rashida's heroism under fire, Kirk's continuous battle for his family, and the lies that merely tore them apart. Now it's your turn. Do you believe the Frost couple's reality, or are you waiting for Jock's next move? Share your opinions in the comments. Every opinion matters in this combustible drama. If you're astonished by the lengths people would go for clout, hit like and show your support for honesty and respect. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a moment of the action, the shocks, and the real story behind the headlines. Stay with us for fresh, updated behind-the-scenes insights and the next chapter in love and hip-hop's scariest paternity battle.